Hi everybody, welcome to the LNROOM. I'm Tony Alden, and today in this episode 14 we're going to write a plugin in Bash that register a JSON-RPC method called mymethod to lightning.d. And we want that method, when we call it, to return this JSON with the node ID of the node running the plugin, the value of the option, the startup option foo opt. So here, if we start the plugin with foo opt set to bar, we want to have that value in the here for the field foo opt. We also want a value for the CLI params, which has the parameters that we pass at the command line when we call mymethod. So here we call mymethod with foo1 set to bar1 and foo2 set to bar2, and we want that object to be here in our answer. Let's, before writing that plugin in Bash, have a look on the plugin system of lightning.d. So once we can see at the top of the screen, once lightning.d started the plugin as a sub-process, it will talk to the plugin, or the plugin will talk to lightning.d by writing to the standard input to the plugin to send requests to the plugin, and the plugin to answer to those requests or to send a notification will write to its standard out, which is a pipe to lightning.d. So now what happened when we start the plugin? So there are 3 steps in that process. So lightning.d send to the plugin a get manifest request, and the plugin will answer to that request with the startup option we want. So here, in our case, we want foo opt, so we are going to declare it, and also the RPC method, and in our case, it's called mymethod. So this is done in the answer of the get manifest request. Then the plugin sends us an init request to say that lightning.d is ready to work with the plugin and to receive communication from the plugin. And in that init request, we have some information about the node that we are going to use to talk to the node via Unix socket and get the node ID. That this is something that we want to do today. And after, the plugin starts an IO loop where it waits on its standard in stream the incoming lightning.d request. So, for instance, at some point a client sent mymethod request to lightning.d. Lightning.d say, hey, this is my plugin that register that method, so lightning.d will forward that request to the plugin. As a plugin, we do what we need to do, and we answer back to lightning.d the answer to my method, and lightning.d will forward my method response to the client. And those 3 steps are repeated during the lifetime of the plugin. Anytime clients want to call my method. So, with that said, let's jump in our terminal and do it. So, in the terminal, we can see the setup on my machine. So, Ubuntu, lightning.d, and the Bash version I'm running. We've already sourced the script startup regtest from the Lightning repository that help us to run Lightning network on regtest, and with startln that we run right now, we are going to start 2 nodes on regtest locally. So here it is. So let's see the shape of this alias. So this is an alias for the first node, and it runs Lightning CLI with the Lightning dir set to temporary L1-regtest. So now, before we start we try to start the plugin, let's look at the files, so the script. So right now we have the shebang. If the pipe fails, we fail the entire script, and we do nothing else. So if we start that plugin, not like this, start this one, so L1 CLI plugin start with the full path of up to myplugin.bash, we will have that error. So excited before replying to get manifest. So that means that Lightning sent us the get manifest, but we don't respond. And it's normal. This is what we did because the plugin start runs that script as a sub process, and as the script does nothing, it just stops. So we don't answer to the get manifest. Before we answer to the get manifest and see the shape of the get manifest request from Lightning, let's just have a look to what happens if we want to write to our standard output like this. So if I want to say echo foo and I just run that script, we will see foo on the terminal. But if we start it, we run that script as a plugin with CLN, we have the same error and we don't see nothing. So let's go back to our note here, and we can see at the top that this is normal because if the plugin write on its standard out, this is something that is pipe to Lightning. So we don't see those output. But if we want to get some information with what we're running, maybe if we want to know some variable and we want to echo stuff, we can write those information into a file that we are going to call to the myplugin here. So if that file exists, we removed it each time we run that script, and we append foo to that file. So we do it again. We try to start an error, but now we should see something in that file, temporary myplugin. We should see foo. Okay, so not something fancy, but this is the tool that we are going to use today to get some information at some point on our script on what's going on. Let's go back to myplugin.bash, and now we are going to treat the case get manifest. First step. So we read into the variable JSON the first line, which is going to be the request, the JSON get manifest request, as the request from Lightning and with two new lines. So here we read the empty line, and to see how does look like the request, we're going to write it into my plugin, into that file. So let's do it. In that, still the error, but now we should have something in my plugin. So here we have. So this is the request that we received when we start the plugin. First request, we didn't answer to it, but we have it. We have the JSON-RPC version, ID 52, and the method, which is get manifest, and the parameters here that we don't care right now on today. So we need the ID to answer that ID to answer to the get manifest. So let's go back to bash, treat the case of the ID. So we are going to want to see that ID after, but right now we can do something like that, which is we have echo of the JSON value, which is JSON and now we want the ID, and we use JQ utility. So now we should see, we start it, we go back to my plugin here, and this is okay. So we received the get manifest request. We know how to get the ID. It works correctly, so we can now construct the get manifest answer. So we no longer need this nor this. Still we need the ID, so we keep it, and we are going to open that file where we have the JSON that we are going to send modulo the changing on the ID. So this is the get manifest, response to the get manifest request. So we have JSON-RPC. The ID, this one we are going to change it to pass the ID that LightningD sent us. And then we have the result field. So in the result, so this is all this, we have dynamic key field. We want it to be true because we want to be able to start it while LightningD is running. We have the option, we declare only one option here, which has the name foo opt, and we want as a default value bar down case, a description, which is that one. And then we declare also the RPC method. So we can declare more than one, but in that plugin, we are just going to declare that one with the name mymethod, and the description, we let this description. So let's take that JSON, go back here, and now we are going to do something like that echo, and we are going to write that get manifest answer. So we have that. Everything here is okay. We are going to put it in one line. The ID, we have to do it correctly. So here we put ID like that. So to have a correct string, we have to quote that with single quote. And here we have the variable expansion that is done by bash. Up, and normally this should works. And before we go to the or not, we are here, we are going to answer, and then LightningD will send us the init request, but we don't respond. So the next error we expect to have, if everything is working correctly, is an init error. So yes, this is what we have. So we can read exited before replying to init. Okay, that's fine. That was to be expected, and also that means that LightningD is okay with the answer we give us right now. So let's copy this here. We remove that one, and we just call that init because we are treating now the init request. So we still reading on the standard in, and we still need the ID. So this is something that we have, and we're going to print the init request and the JSON ID to be sure that it's working correctly. So we go back to our terminal, we start myplugin.bash, still the same error, but now we have some more information in the init. So one interesting thing is that the ID still works. So we can see this is sent by CLN, 2 colon, the init, and a number to make that ID unique. And the init request is that one. We don't see well right now, so we are going to put that one in a file, maybe here. Now we are going to call it init request. We passed it in JSON mode. So here we have the init request from Lightning D. So this is a JSON-RPC. The ID, the method is what we expect, is init, and we have the parameters. And in the parameter here, we can see that we have the key for option and the configuration. Option, that's fine. Let's say that Lightning D understood correctly what we wanted is to declare an option foo up with the value bar. And if we start the plugin differently with another value, here in that place we will have the value set at startup. So that's we have with the option. And now the configuration. So important, at some point we want the node ID, so we need to talk to Lightning D to ask for the node ID, and we are going to do it with a Unix socket, and we need the Lightning D which is that one, and the RPC file, so the file name of that one. So we need all those information to construct or answer when we call my method. But still we have not answered to the init, but as we need those information, we are going to keep them right now. So this one, we have that path. I'm just copying the path to the element that we need with the format of the format used by JQ for the filter. So let's go back to myplugin.bash here. So in myplugin.bash, this is okay. We have those things. Now we want the foo opt echo, and we have to give a different filter that we kept it this one. So this filter will works, and let's be sure that we are doing the right thing. So foo opt, as it costs nothing to test those things right now, let's do it. So we can we have that on my plugin here. So we have bar with the quotes, the double quotes. So this is what we want, foo opt. And now what's next? So the next one is the socket path, which is good. So here, after JQ, we have to pass it a filter, and we want the option -r to be the row things and the filter. So we need first the Lightning dir. And in the filter, that field, as it contains a dash, we need to pass to enclose it with double quote. We concatenate it with the string slash, and we can pass another RPC files to complete our filters. And right now we should have a correct socket path that we are going to use after to get the node ID. We write it into the file temporary myplugin. Here we are going to have the same error, but we are interested in seeing if we've done the right treatment with the init request. So we go to myplugin, and now we see that this is the socket files of the node L1 that we can use to talk to that node via Unix socket. So we are okay, but still we haven't answered back to the init request. So we have not that files, but init this one. So the answer will be that one, but we are going to change the node ID, the ID of the request as we did before. We have nothing special to say to Lightning D, so we just return a result with an empty object. Let's take this, go back to R to see some of the thing here. So we want echo and we want that thing. So that answer, one thing to do here is to have the right value for the ID and start with a quote. So we have here so the right JSON object, JSON string that we are going to answer to Lightning D. Let's try it. So now we should have something that that start at least that doesn't return those two errors exited before replying to init or get manifest. What is the error? Failed to pass JSON response. Okay, so maybe let's go back here. What's the problems? Okay, so I have I put a $, where we shouldn't have it, and now this is working as expected. So we see listed the plugin that has been started, but something interesting is that if we go back to here to Bash, we see that now we are not after answering to Lightning D, we do nothing. So this script will stop. We are not starting the IO loop. So now if we check for a process with my plugin in it, we won't see it. It's normal. So if we call the method, we are going to have nothing, an error, because the script run and stop. So now we are at the step 3 of writing our plugin. We need to read and to wait on our standard input Lightning D request. So let's go back to Bash. This is going to be something similar, at least for those things. So we need blah blah blah. The ID is okay, and IO loop. We have this, but now we want a loop. So while we are reading this, at the end we are done. So we read the JSON request. We read here the empty line. We get the ID, and we do nothing else. But let's see the shape of that JSON that we are going to read by running L1 CLI mymethod on the terminal, and then we want to answer to that request, but we don't do it right now. So let's start our plugin. So it's not running, so we can start it like that, and we should have a process associated. So we have the process, so the running is doing that thing, and it's exactly, we are waiting for Lightning D to send us something, and we're going to put it in the JSON variable and to do some stuff here, which is just to write the JSON request into my plugin file. Go back to the terminal, and what do we want to do right now? Yes, we want to call it once, because we haven't done it. My method. Oh, okay, so this command doesn't return. It's normal, because myplugin.bash we just read the stuff and write to my plugin, but we don't answer to Lightning D. So it's waiting for something which is never going to happen. But we now have valuable information in my plugin file, which is the method, the request that has been forwarding. So this request, back to the terminal, came from the client Lightning CLI, went to Lightning D, and has been forwarded to my plugin, and we are Lightning D now is waiting to something. So we see so JSON-RPC, the method called mymethod, and here we see so CLI, the ID encode the forwarding. So this comes from the CLI with mymethod, the number to be to have uniqueness, and then CLN forwarded to us. Forwarded my method to us, and we've passed no parameters. Okay, fine, we have some information. Let's see what happened if we pass parameter as we want here, because this is how we want to call it. So let's see the shape of the request when, so it doesn't return, but now my plugin files change with another, this is a new request that we have, and we see that what changed is the value in params. So as we pass with -k for keys, we have it in an object, and now we are going to see if we call it with just a value, and we no longer use a key, it doesn't return, but in my plugin we have a new request, and here is the array of the ordered CLI parameters. Okay, fine. We stop that, and let's go back to my plugin and let me see the note. So what do we need to do right now? Okay, so let's get the CLI parameters. So if we go to my plugin, we see that we have a field which is called params that holds the parameters. So we can use that field. So bam, we do something like that. We no longer want to echo this, but we are going to use it. No, we don't. No. Sorry, I'm going too fast. This is not what I want to do first. First, we are going to answer something to see that we know how to make the thing work. So we've taken the init answer that we gave previously, and we change the result here to insert something like foo bar, and now we start again the plugin. So we go to the terminal here, start. Okay, we change start for stop. We stop it. We start it again, and now if we call it like that without any CLI parameters, we see that result. So we are close to something interesting. But now we've defined, we registered a JSON-RPC method called mymethod that return the object with the key foo and the value bar. And now we are going further. Let's do something else. So now we want the CLI params, and the filter of the JSON that we want is, the filter is params. So we have it here, and now let's just change that part still in the fulfill, but we are passing CLI params, and we should have a correct string. And now we go back to the terminal, we stop, we start the plugin, and we call mymethod. Okay, cool. So this is to be expected. So we, as we have no parameters, we've returned the empty array that we get in mymethod request. Now, if we call it like that, we see the object of the parameter called with a key, and we can do another thing like that and see now we have it with an array. So the CLI parameters are have been covered, and now we can follow with foo option. We have it, so we are not going to see it right now. We want the node ID. So let's look at our node. One thing that we want is the node ID. So in the terminal, we can have the node ID this way, calling the method info, get info with no parameters. Maybe let's just filter to have only the ID, and we get the ID of the node. So we can call the method getInfo with no parameters, and this will work. So we are going to do that with the Unix utility NC and netcat. So we want, now we go back here and we undo those, and we want this one. So we want the Lightning RPC, which is the file that we need to connect to our node via Unix socket. So now this is waiting for a request. So the Lightning D is waiting for, it's not waiting after us, but here if we pass a request, this will be sent to Lightning D. So we have in that file getInfo, this is a request that we are going to send. So that request method getInfo, and the parameters are the empty array, and we've added a filter to just keep only the ID that we get. So we take it, we go to bash, as we are going to use it after, why not, we are going to keep it here. We want it on a line, up, and now we passed it, and if we press return, we get the answer to our question. And we have, in the field result, we have the object with the ID of the node. So this is now something that we want to do in our bash script. We quit, and the thing that we want something like that. Okay, we want to myplugin.bash. We are going to do it here. Okay, so these are the things that we have. We want to pipe that request to NC here, to netcat, but we have a variable for socket path. So this is the one. So we pipe the request to the input of netcat. Then we want that. We want the standard output of this in a variable that we are going to call read-r- as we already have JSON, we are going to call it JSON1. So we do here, what we do is process substitution, so we can redirect it to that command line, and this command line will set the value to JSON 1. So we have it. This should work correctly, but to be sure we've done it the right way. Instead of returning foo with the CLI parameters, we are going to return JSON 1. This is what we want. Yes, this is what we want so far. So let's go here. So we have to start. Okay. So we stop the plugin. We start the plugin and hope we did it the right way. So it seems to work correctly, and we are going to call it here like this. And it works. So we have in the result, we have the object ID, but what we want is only the ID. So here we want the node ID. Next step, so it's almost one of the last step of this video. So here, okay, let's copy that one because this is what we do, but this is JSON 1 and we want the ID, but it is in the result field. So if we have that working correctly, and now instead of using JSON like that, we use node ID. In the answer we return to the response, we return to lightning D. And if we go back here in our terminal, we can stop the plugin, start the plugin again, and we just have the node ID. Yes, so far so good. Let's go back to our node to see what we want to do. What we really want to do is to enter that JSON. So we have all those information. We have the node ID, we have the foo option, we have the CLI parameters. So now we can end our plugin like that. So this is the result that we want. So we are going to work on that result. CLI params. So let's pass the correct value, which is CLI param. CLI params. We close the double quotes. So let's try not to make mistake right now. Then we want the foo option that we've stored after receiving the init request. So we have it right now. It's correct. Here we want the node ID. We work on it just before, just above. So up node ID. We close this, and normally we can just use that result. Yes, in place of this one. So we remove this space. We go back to our terminal, we stop the plugin, we start the plugin, and yes, it works. So we didn't pass any CLI parameters, so let's do it like that. So dash key, this one, we have the parameter. One last thing to do is to stop and start it with foo opt set to bar upcase. So we see that we are okay. We stop the plugin, we go to the node. This is now the way we want to start our plugin. So dash k plugin subcommand start plugin equal the path of the plugin, foo option set to bar upcase. We can start the plugin and we hope everything is working correctly. So yes, we have the bar which is upcase for the foo opt startup option. We have the node ID and we have the CLI parameters in the response of that command. So that's it for today's videos. I hope you enjoy the video, that you learn something, and see you in the next video. Have a great time.